Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Mr. Segun Shomomi joins us next as a former Director General of former President's campaign organization in Ogun State. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Good morning.
Well, we're looking at this 100-day mark, and we just heard Mr. Gabashew talk about certain things. He says he's given us those markers, those pointers of the kind of things we should achieve, and he's of the opinion that, yes, we should have seen some of those as a direction as to where the country is headed.
Well, I think I will first of all say that when a political party campaigns for election with a lot of verbosity and gets elected and becomes calm and picks the award quietly, you get to know that, yes, the enormity of the task has dawned on them. Why do we do the 100 days in the first instance? What does the 100 days really mean? It is not expected that anybody can come into government and not settle down. The 100-day mark is expected to be the stabilization period that is internationally accepted as settling down period. There are certain things that are usually expected to happen within the 100 days. One of them is that the government will communicate the direction it wants to go clearly, that private sector players, citizens, and all of those who want to have buy-in can begin to, use that as a compass for their own action. Also, it is expected generally that for a change mantra, those who are going to be the champions and the architects and the players within the change phenomenon should also be in place. In party democracy, because sometimes governments can change other than through democracy or multi-party, it is expected that the players within their own party would also have a consistent buy-in. What have we seen? One, we concede that the President Muhammadu Buhari, brings to the table high reputation in terms of integrity and anti-corruption. But the times that we are now are totally different. One, we are in a democracy. It is not the time for the President to know what he's doing and he alone understand what he's doing and he alone runs up and down tries to achieve what he's doing. That's not how democracy works. This is the time when the buy-in must first of all start from his party members, then his cabinet, then the entirety of Nigeria. What they're doing to the citizens, and which we in opposition say this is not correct, is that they want us to keep second guessing and watching. No. Government must communicate and communicate clearly. What are the things that they have done that we can say, okay, they've done well? We can say because of his military training and former commander-in-chief and all that, he has recalibrated the army somewhat, because I don't think he has brought in any new officer to come and do the job. Those men that he has appointed have always been in the Nigerian army. Experience has allowed him to do that better, but I'm not sure he has bought any real arms with which to send them to the field. So it must then mean that some other work that had been done in the farmer part is what they're using. Also, we can concede that by his body language, some civil servants and those people who have, because no political appointment, no real political appointment has taken place, we may say maybe permanent secretaries and all of those are beginning to act right. Otherwise, if we cannot accept that, we cannot give them credit for the improvement in power and the improvement in other areas where they've not done any real infrastructure or any real financial. So that must be ours. But there are areas that are worrisome. One of them is the way he has done his lopsided appointments. Whatever you want to say, let us get it straight. We began as opposition, PDP, to begin to be suspicious of how would this government play out from the very first major line that came out from his speech on Inauguration Day. Everything seemed to be beautiful music until he altered the unalterable in a multi-party democracy. I am for everybody. Yes, everybody including the Chinese and the Americans. That should have been for the Nigerians. I am for nobody. No, you are for somebody. You didn't come here as an independent party. You were not without a party manifesto. You were not without party backers. So we can accept that you're also for your party. But he chose to be as vague as that, and we can see him living that out in reality. Anti-corruption. When President Muhammadu Buhari, beg your pardon, says he wants to do anti-corruption.
Just a moment. We'll come to the third point. Let's take you up on that.
Yes.
The second point about I'm for everybody and I'm for nobody. You say it shouldn't have been that way.
Yes.
Isn't it a matter of interpretation?
No, it's not a matter of interpretation, because from that alone, you can tell from the other things he has gone to do that indeed he's for nobody. For if he were for everybody, Nigerians can say, okay, we are part of the everybody. The Chinese are part of the everybody. The Americans are part of the everybody. But he needs to be, first of all, for Nigeria. If he's for nobody, of course, I'm not a party man, I'm not in his party, but I know that a few members of his party will be wondering that indeed this man is not for us. And you see, you must be careful.
And what instance? I mean, what can you give?
Well, I will give you a few. You see, when the spokesperson of their party, at the level of the party, comes and dissociates themselves from their manifesto, from their document, from all their campaign literatures, and 5 minutes afterwards, the spokesperson for the president now, Garba, now begins to return back to the manifesto, you understand that there's a disconnect somewhere.
No, and they're two different things. The manifesto and that document, My Covenant with Nigerians. That's the one they say.
Everything that they had tried to do was to escape the things they promised in the manifesto and in the covenant. And really, if they are not going to be able to feed 500,000 people with 500,000 fishes and 500,000 loaves of bread, we get it. But they cannot say as a party, we're not doing that. And then the other man comes and says, give us time, we will do it step by step. What I'm trying to say in essence is that you are, first of all, a party man.
Yeah, I think that you're mixing things up, and I think it's very important that we clarify them. The party, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, dissociated his party from My Covenant with Nigerians and What I Would Do in 100 Days. According to him, those were documents which did not emanate from the APC. Garba Shehu also corroborated that. He said he did not commission those documents. He didn't say that on our program, but there has been a press statement which he released to say where the confusion was coming from. But they also made reference to the party manifesto, which they say they're going to abide by, and you may also sue them on, if you please. Okay, man.
Okay, if you are going to let us stand on their manifesto. After they finally won election, they did a round table wherein they did their policy implementation document that was signed off by the former governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Fayemi. And some of the things that they said there seemed to be very consistent with the contract and also the manifesto. Essentially what they said was that they broke it down into low-hanging fruits, what must happen within, incidentally, the proverbial 100 days, medium term, what they must do within a year or two, and what they consider to be the long term. And all of the things they said they would try and do within the 100 days, I think we can be generous with them to just say they have not really started. But that's not the big deal. The big deal is that if you don't recognize that Nigeria is a complex environment where those who instituted the federal character idea instituted it to get national cohesion. And government after government since 1972, Yakubu Gowon, have tried as much as possible to balance the sensitivities of our nation. You cannot bring change that begins to smell and resemble as if it's coming from only a section, but we will let that go.
That's on the one hand. But then, you know, people also say that Nigeria must also have that conversation, because it would seem that...
Yes, that conversation took place underneath the government of the PDP.
Let me land on my question.
Yes.
The Nigeria must have the conversation, because, I mean, at times we have raised the question of federal character and whether or not it's benefited us, and whether we, you know, raise it above competence. And perhaps this conversation will continue for a while, you know, a bit to come. Where would you stand on this conversation?
Well, listen, you see, the conversation came to the table majorly underneath the last government, the government of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, by concaving a national dialogue or conference, whatever you call it. And it was to discuss these kinds of issues. Incidentally, those who are ordinarily supposed to champion such a cause were not exactly interested. But that's not the point. The point is this. If you are going to talk about competence as the reason why it seems to be lopsided, then you want to ask, is there practical evidence along the space where the competence is suddenly coming from to suggest that the social stabilization ideas in that area is better than everywhere else? Is there a suggestion that there are competent people who are not corrupt in one section of the country and in the other? Listen, If you had done a better sit-through with the leaders of your party, because you have leaders from all of the sections of your party, and you had said to them, these are the kinds of people I'm looking for, perhaps you might not have had that literature. But yes, we'll give them the chance to see how competent they will be eventually when they start. But that's not even the real issue with it. The real issue with it is this. If you appoint everybody, before you appoint the political heads, what are you trying to tell us? You're trying to say, in essence, that by the time they start to run, those who are supposed to be the policymakers or who are bringing in new ideas are coming in rather late. And we can see a systematic attempt at putting in somebody in customs, somebody here, somebody there, somebody in CBN, new economic policy. You don't even have a commission. You don't have a minister for finance here. You don't have a minister for foreign affairs. You've gone all over the world. You don't have a minister. You don't have an attorney general. You are embarking on anti-corruption drive. How would you even get prosecution? Really, really.
Okay, so that's the third issue you're going to raise, anti-corruption.
Yes. Anti-corruption. You see, anybody who knows the People's Democratic Party of Nigeria manifesto, no, Constitution and Manifesto, there is no line, they have gone through all the article that says if the PDP appoints you or votes you or gives you the person to go and become president or whatever in the country, you should go and be corrupt. Corruption is an issue that cuts across. For we see, even though with the poster boy of the APC, the Babatunde Fashola, who ordinarily towers above most of his mates, we've seen what is happening there. So what we're saying in essence is that fight corruption, but you must do it in a systematic manner, you must do it in a transparent manner, and you must cover all the country, including areas that ordinarily fall before you. And to say you are going to start only with the last administration is cowardice. For indeed, when you speak, when the APC and its operators speak about the rot in the country, the so-called rot, they say the last 16 years, it's not only painful, it is unfortunate. Unfortunate in the sense that that last 16 years phrase they made does not indict the last administration of President Ebele Jonathan. It actually indicts their friends. They are friends in the person of the first civilian president, this president Obasanjo. They are friends in terms of Tinubu. They are friends in terms of even the Senate president. So you see that when we're talking about anti-corruption, if you come in on that mantra, you just must try to sort everything. Well, you must not leave anyone out, and you must not seem to be scared of some secret cows.